So the next Genshin Impact banners are almost here, and at first glance they look ridiculously strong. 2 Cryo 5 stars, both considered some of the most powerful characters in their roles, running in the same phase. A weapon banner where even losing the 50-50 might still give you something great. And overall, a lineup that on paper feels almost too good to be true. But when players started looking closer, something strange stood out. Because while the 5 stars look incredible, the 4 stars on these banners have sparked one of the most divided reactions the community has had in a while. Some players are genuinely excited. Others are calling it one of the easiest skips of the patch. And the weird part is, both sides actually have a point. Phase 2 of the patch runs from March 17 until April 7, and the 2 character banners are centered around Skirk and Escoffier. If you've been paying attention to the meta recently, you probably already understand why that combination alone has people interested. Skirk is clearly the headliner here. She's a cryo DPS built around extremely aggressive damage windows and rapid cryo application. Her teams revolve around amplifying cryo reactions and pushing damage during tight rotations, which means she performs best when surrounded by supports that can feed her energy, boost her damage, or maintain consistent elemental application. And this is where the banner starts revealing its first interesting layer. The featured 4 stars are Dahlia, Candice, and Charlotte. At first glance, that might look like a random mix of characters, but the more you think about it, the more the logic starts to appear. Charlotte provides additional cryo application along with some utility, which can help stabilize rotations for cryo-focused teams. Dahlia brings hydro interaction that can help enable freeze setups. And Candice, especially at higher constellations, can act as a surprisingly effective damage buffer and hydro enabler for certain compositions. So even though the 4 stars might not look flashy at first, the banner is actually filled with characters that can slot into reaction-focused teams. But that's only half the story. Running alongside Skirk is the second banner featuring Escoffier, another cryo character who fills a very different role. Where Skirk focuses on raw damage output, Escoffier leans much more toward team support. Her kit revolves around amplifying cryo damage and strengthening cryo compositions, which means that if you're building around cryo DPS characters, she can push their damage ceiling significantly higher. When you look at both banners together, they start to feel less like separate options and more like a complete cryo ecosystem. One character drives the damage, while the other boosts the entire team around them. And that synergy is exactly why some players think this could be one of the most efficient banner phases we've seen in a while. Remember, the pity counter is shared between both character banners. So if you're pulling for Skirk but lose the 50-50 early, you can simply switch to Escoffier without losing progress toward your guaranteed 5-star. That flexibility alone makes this phase surprisingly player-friendly. But once people looked at the weapon banner, that's where the conversation really shifted. At first glance, the weapon banner actually looks fantastic. Both featured 5-star weapons are designed to synergize extremely well with cryo teams, so if you're building around Skirk or Escoffier, there's essentially no bad outcome when it comes to the 5-star drop. And in Genshin terms, that's pretty rare. Usually the weapon banner has one amazing option, and one weapon that only a small number of characters can really use. Here, both weapons are desirable, which lowers the usual risk quite a bit. So naturally, people expected the rest of the banner to be stacked too. But then the 4-star weapons were revealed, and the reaction was immediate. The lineup includes Rust, the Flute, the Bell, Favonius Lance, and Favonius Codex. If you've been playing Genshin for a long time, you probably already know why this caused such a strong reaction. It's not that these weapons are completely unusable, but many veteran players already have far too many copies of them. The Bell in particular has basically become a meme weapon within the community. A lot of players joke that every weapon banner somehow finds a way to give them another copy. So when players saw this lineup, the concern was obvious. Nobody wants to spend their primogems chasing a 5-star weapon while collecting 10 more bells along the way. But this is where things get a little more interesting. Hidden in that lineup are 2 weapons that experienced players actually value far more than most people expect: Favonius Lance and Favonius Codex. If you've played endgame modes or energy-heavy team rotations, you've probably run into the same problem many players talk about. Energy management can completely break your rotation if things don't line up properly. That's exactly what the Favonius weapon series helps solve. These weapons generate additional energy particles when you land critical hits, which means they can dramatically smooth out your team's energy requirements. In some teams, a single Favonius weapon can stabilize an entire rotation. Favonius Lance in particular is considered one of the best 4-star polearms for support characters. Units like Shenhe, Rosaria, and several other polearm supports benefit enormously from the extra energy generation. In Cryo teams especially, keeping burst uptime consistent can make a huge difference in overall damage. And suddenly, the banner design starts to make a lot more sense. If you're pulling for Skirk or Escoffier, there's a decent chance your team will include characters that actually want Favonius weapons. So even though the 4-star lineup looks chaotic at first glance, it still includes some genuinely useful tools for the exact types of teams these banners encourage. At the same time, though, it's pretty clear that Hoyoverse made a deliberate choice here. They gave us extremely strong 5-star options and balanced that by making the 4-star lineup less exciting overall. A lot of players believe that's intentional, because if the 5-star weapons are already incredibly desirable, stacking the banner with powerful 4-stars as well might push the value a little too far. Instead, we end up with a banner where the top prizes are fantastic, but the path to reaching them can feel a little rough. And depending on how you look at it, that might actually be the defining feature of this entire banner phase. If you're focused purely on the 5 stars, this could easily be one of the best pulling opportunities we've had in a long time. But if you're the kind of player who tries to maximize value across every single pull, this banner suddenly becomes much harder to justify. That's exactly why the community reaction is so mixed. Some players see a stacked Cryo lineup with top-tier weapons and think it's a no-brainer. Others see Rust, the Flute, and the Bell staring back at them, and immediately decide to save their primogems. So now I'm curious what you think. Are you planning to pull for Skirk or Escoffier? Are you risking the weapon banner for their signature weapons, or are those 4-star weapons enough to make you skip this phase entirely? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed breaking down these banners together, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more Genshin analysis. As more information and rumors about the next updates start appearing, things are probably going to get even more interesting. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your pulls.